Alright, good evening and welcome to the final round of the Automobilista Australia Super 2 Championship. And it is going to be a cracker. The circuit was announced, of course, during the GT3 Sprint Series the other night. And once again, we have been joined in the commentary booth by Peter Savage. So welcome along, Peter.
Hello, Lewis. Good to be here. Bit of an interesting track. I definitely wouldn't have guessed this as the last round, but done some laps of it today, and it is a cracker of a circuit.
Yeah, it had been in the works. I had been working on this track a little bit about a month or two ago. I'll actually just bring it up on screen for everybody. So there is round 15, Manfeild Circuit, Chris Amon in Fielding, New Zealand, in the Northern Island there. 3 kilometres long, 7 corners. There will be 3 races, which are 13 laps long, and of course the obviously races 2 and 3 are both reverse grid, Peter. So it is going to be very, very interesting. It is a very fast and flowing circuit. It is very enjoyable to drive, even in these supercars, because a lot of the corners have a lot of camber on them, which do help the cars get around the turns.
Yeah, and it means that you can really plant that throttle early coming around the corners. But you also you still have to be very careful on how much throttle you use, because if you don't hit the corner right, it does kick your car quite a lot in the rear. It it has all the perks to being a great little circuit, and yeah, I honestly want to do more racing here.
Yeah, I did actually mention that for the IGL series. To maybe we should bring it in a couple months ago, and I'm surprised neither you or Steve sort of would be able to guess it. But qualifying about to get underway. Unfortunately, it's not 5 laps this week. It's actually 3, due to a little miscommunication with the server host. But Daniel Cox here, about to be the first man to set a lap in anger in the retro Milwaukee car. What can he do? Well, he's outbroke himself a little bit in turn 1, and that's going to cost him a bit of time, and he's also slid it on the exit, so not an ideal start for Daniel Cox. He's also got Turmo right behind him as well, who'll want Coxie to speed up a little bit.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Daniel Cox. He was looking like a possible top 10. It is going to be interesting that they only have 1 shot quali now, because they obviously have the pressure of it is the last qualifying session of the season. People want to have a very good last round, and they only have 1 chance to set up the weekend.
That said, though, the race is going to be fairly attritional, Peter. I think this track is very, very busy, and including yourself, there was pretty much everybody had an off or 2 around this circuit, so it is going to be difficult for the drivers. So if you can just keep it on the grey stuff, you should be in good stead in the race. But Cox over the line, a 106.4. It's a very disappointing lap time. You want to be setting a 104 at least. Got Mishra 104.6. He was looking pretty good in practice, Peter, and looking to continue at least his decent qualifying form here, as Wayne Spencer and then Hans Brunswick just surpass his times into the 104.4 range.
Yeah, he actually did a belter of a lap in practice. I was very impressed. It's the one thing that has obviously been very good about this series, and that's that there have been so many drivers that have been able to get into some of that potential that they could get out of their rigs, and it has ended up meaning that while the start of the season may have been a little bit up and down for some drivers, we have a big list of drivers in this group that all have potential to win the races, and the reverse grids really help people to get them too.
It certainly does, and I think the reverse races tonight could throw up a couple really interesting results, because even though you can see that you can pass at the exit of a couple places, a couple fairly medium to long straights around here, it still is pretty difficult to pass, and if someone gets a good exit, they can hold on and defend. So it will be difficult for the front runners in the reverse grid races to get through the field, and the starts are going to be important. But we do have one of our championship contenders out there at the moment, Burko, out on the circuit. I believe he was the fastest man in practice, with Lion Mitch less than a 10th away as well. So look for those guys to once again top the timesheets. Also had Hans up there. He jumped up at the end of practice as well, but he's already set. He's like, well, Burko came up to Netherrealm. It looks like Matt Cecil will be one of those guys to get out of the way. In fact, it's one of the GRM cars, my mistake. So Burko around he goes, coming up to the second split, and he's just down on Hans Brunswick. Also, I think, Peter, that's going to affect qualifying is that it's very cold at this circuit, and you only get one shot, so we're not going to see the ideal lap times that we saw from practice.
Yeah, and it's been very evident so far as Steve Burko goes top of the table. They are, at the moment, I believe the closest anyone's really gotten to their fastest time is about a second, and it's really going to mean that these drivers really need to warm their tyres up before they start their lap and try and get some heat in there. Because, yeah, the track is very slippery, and it does take quite a few laps doing race spec to get temperature out of them.
We've got Turks Gaming in the chat saying it's his home circuit, literally 10 minutes away from his house. So, well, someone in the chat knows the circuit. Everybody in the Discord and AMSOZ couldn't guess it. So, but it's a nice circuit. Seen some videos of it. This rendition of this circuit is fairly accurate. It's not obviously the newest version of the circuit because it has been upgraded in the last 10 years, but it is fairly accurate. From what I've seen from old onboards and videos. So Dan Man, the original creator in R Factor, did a really good job, and there's even an updated version in R Factor 2 of it as Taipan goes P5 on a 1052, and Netherrealmian in fact just usurps him in there on a 1050. So nice effort there from Nether, who hasn't had the greatest second half of the season, but looking alright at the moment.
Yeah, that is a very good time. We'll be looking for one of his better qualifying sessions in the last few weeks. It has sucked for him. He obviously he doesn't really have much time to get any laps in, while a lot of the other drivers can get quite a lot in. But he's still putting up his performances. He's still fighting for his championship, and I believe at the moment he is in good stead to keep third in the championship.
It is very tight between him and Termo, so obviously we do have the battle between Lime Mitch and Steve Burko for first to win the title, but the battle between Netherrealmian and Termo for third in the championship is quite tight as well. But got Scott Stancliffe out on the circuit, another Kiwi, another home track for him, and I believe, Brute, that he's actually drifted this track in real life with Tim Redmond. He's actually driven it as well in real life, so Stancliffe, bit of knowledge around this place, as does Redmond, and Stancliffe using it to full effect. 1/10 of a second up on Burko at the first split.
Yeah, actually, Scott Stancliffe has done, I believe it was D1 drifting. He did it with Shane Van Gisbergen at this track. And Redmond has done quite a few races in some New Zealand. I think he was in RX7 and RX5s racing around here. He's done quite a few laps there. I believe one of them was actually televised, as Stancliffe comes through and does the 1039.
Yeah, first man into the threes, and 3/10 clear of Steve Burko, looking to throw a spanner in the works here in the championship fight. I do believe I saw Tim Redmond leave the pits as well just a minute or so ago. He's another one to look out for. He's done a bit of practice around this track outside of actually driving the track in real life, but we'll stick with Termo for now, and then we'll have a look out for Tim Redmond and see how he's going at the moment. But Cecil now coming out of the final corner, which you really do have to commit to on the exit if you want to get anything out of the final sector, and he goes 6th with a 104.7. There we are. Got Redmond just a smidgen away. Bit of a lock up though. But he's able to take that late apex and have a nice exit down this back straight here. So it's going to be very tight between himself and fellow Kiwi Stancliffe. And also got Mike Coulson out there. Good to see him back racing. Brute, obviously, he's over there, stuck in the UK, normally resides in Saudi Arabia, but our China virus has thrown up a few problems for him, but good to see him out there as Redmond just a smidge in front of Stancliffe. Nice run out of the final corner, hugs the inside line, but he can't do it, so Stancliffe, a mighty final sector, and holds on to P1 for now. Got Rhodey out there, and Lime Mitch as well. I do believe they're the only two out there, but I'll just have a quick scroll through, and yep, looks like they're the only 2 drivers out on the circuit. So Lime Mitch, of course, locked in a championship fight with Steve Burko, about to begin his lap. In fact, we might jump on board with the HRT driver. Brute, why don't you talk us through a lap of the Manfeild circuit, Chris Amon. Or Amon.
Alright, so Lime Mitch coming up to turn 1. This is a very tricky corner. Late apex is key here. You want to get... this corner is absolutely flat out. You've got to use all the road here to maximise time, as my game seems to be skipping a lot, so I can't tell where he's driving. But coming through the first sector, he's 3/10 down, and do you want to take over for 1 sec?
Alright, so this section here, very difficult to exit without a bit of wheel spin, but he's just managed it. And then you can brake a little bit late into this next corner here, at about the 100 metre mark. Carry a bit of speed into the corner, try and get to the inside and use the camber of the corner, get on the power nice and early, and then a nice long run to the final sort of, I guess you could say 2 corners, but it is sort of 1 corner as well. Carry speed into the initial part, don't run too wide in the middle. He's taking a very narrow line, and he's going to run a little bit wide. It's going to cost him time, maybe cost him a track cut, but he's going to continue on regardless, and he'll go P7, so not ideal for Lime Mitch, but we do know he is a fast starter. But we do have 1 man out there on the moment, and that is Rhodey, and we've cut to him, and he's put it in the fence at the final corner. So the 2 final drivers out there, well, haven't been able to navigate the final corner too well. But Rhodey is still going to continue on with his lap in the hope that he can pick up the spot on the start. And he'll still start 23rd, so a massive grid here with Glenn Miles not setting a time, but our 2 Kiwis will start on the front row with Stancliffe on pole, Redmond in second, both in the 103.9s. Championship leader Steve Burko in third, followed by Hans Brunswick, go Hans, in fourth. Wayne Spencer, Super Monster Racing, in fifth, followed by Ujit Mishra. Lime Mitch, our other championship contender, Matt Cecil. Darren Kemp, good effort from him. Netherelmian in one of his better qualifying efforts the second half of the season there, in 10th. Alright, and well, just might as well scroll through as it ticks over to the warm-up, the remainder of the grid, and we do have one of our newer drivers, Peter Thrower, there in 11th spot, so good effort from him. Taipan in 12th. Termo locked in a battle with Netherelmian for 3rd place in the standings in 13th. Cheese in 14th. We did catch him throwing it into the fence at the end of his lap, so he's a little bit disappointed with his effort. He'll start 14th. Dane Liccardo will start in 15th. Brian Walsh in 16th. He's probably a little bit more concerned with the footy scores at the moment, hoping his Bulldogs can get over the line against Geelong. And then we have Caelan Duncan in 17th. Snipes in 18th. Daniel Cox in 19th, followed by Ben Pearson on his debut in 20th. Lachlan Locke 21st. Mike Coulston in 22nd. Rhodey 23rd. And of course, Glenn Miles didn't set a lap.
I do believe I have now fixed my issue, sorry about that. Automobilista doing AMS things. Yeah, I would actually like to quickly give a shout out to the Kiwi guys for Peter Thrower getting in 11th there. Believe he was actually almost brand new to the game just a few weeks ago going into Sandown, and the whole bunch of them, including obviously Snipes, Stancliffe and Redmond, have actually been teaching him the game and teaching him the cars, getting any setup they can to him to try and help him get a nice run in the vehicle, and it has obviously shown with his 11th place, so very well done.
Yeah, it's good to see the community spirit that Super 2 has provided. Obviously each week since Pukekohe, Pete, we've seen massive grid sizes, but we've also seen everybody, before races and after races, when practice serves have gone up, everybody's jumped on the Discord, jumped in chat, and had a bit of a yarn, had a good time, and also helped each other out with setups. So good community around these guys. So hopefully we see everybody back for the season 2 and the summer series later on in the year.
Yeah, we actually did quite a lot of racing when the lockdowns first started, where like for rounds like Calder, we were getting 10 to 15 people hopping in a practice session doing laps. The grids were absolutely huge. Everyone was helping each other. We are all having a nice time. We're doing practice races, practice qualifying sessions. Yeah, just doing anything to help each other. And quite a few people were able to fast track their speed and really get the most out of their cars. So it was very good to see.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of quite a bit of driver development throughout the season, with the number of drivers massively improving from where they started to where they are now. So it'll be interesting to see how they go, obviously come next season. But while we're in the warm-up session and everybody's going through their final checks, looks like they're having a massive. Actually, we'll cut to it. Actually, if we just have a look on the screen here, they're all doing a practice start here. Wayne's just thought, no, I'm going to start second on this one, but everyone getting ready for a practice start. It's going to be pretty hectic, I'd say, down into turn one. Away they go. And the cat car, I think that's Mike Coulson down the back's had a little bit of an off. And into turn one they go. This is just the practice start, mind you. And well, they've all got through there. No, they haven't got all through there safely because Matt Selsel's had a little bit of a half spin. But so these boys keen to get going. But while we are here in the warm-up session and we have a little bit of time, might as well go over the championship standings. So you do say, as I did bring up, there's a couple battles going on with Steve Burko and Lime Mitch. As you can see, 4,086 plays 4,041. And it's going to be very interesting between those two tonight, Peter. It's pace-wise, can't separate them. I think what might decide it is going to be who can get through the field better in the reverse grid races.
And I do feel like Lime Mitch has the advantage there. But yeah, it is going to be such a great battle. And it is great to see that the close finishes in AMSOZ have continued in again in this series. Seems to be every series is decided in the last round. It is very good to see, as I believe they're gritting up to go again. Yeah, it is going to be a good old-fashioned race between them. Not many points separating them, and a lot of points on offer.
Yeah, it's going to be an enthralling battle, and I honestly can't pick who's going to win the title, because, as you said, Lime Mitch seems to be just he's a pro at getting through the grid. When he does start from the back, you saw that when he's had penalties, when he's, obviously started from reverse grid races. So it will be interesting to see how he goes. It will be interesting to see how Burko obviously goes with our championship lead. He may drive a little bit different, but I've also got a battle between Netherelmian and Termo in third and fourth. Now, pace-wise, they haven't been the quickest out there, but they've been there since the start of the season. That's why they're in third and fourth. So we'll have to keep our eyes out for those two cars on track, and I think they're quite close together as well pace-wise. So we may have obviously first, second, third, and fourth all change hands throughout this evening in the championship battle. So we will try and keep a hold of those battles. Got Scott Stancliffe comfortably in fifth place, Wayne Spencer in sixth, followed by Liam, who's no longer racing, in seventh. NZ Snipes there, he's snuck up into 8th. Matt Cecil as well, up into 9th. Redmond also into the top 10. And I believe you brought it up in the last round. He's since joining, he's scored the most amount of points, or the highest average points per race out of everybody. So he's quite quick and capable. And over the page we do have Paul Morris / Billy Dougal-Salonga in 11th. Rhodey, he'll be hoping to jump ahead of him. Then we have Hans as well, who'll be hoping to jump up ahead of both Paul Morris and Rhodey, but it is a fair task with being a couple hundred points back. Then we have Daniel Cox Cheese, Glenn Miles there in 16th, Steve Bolger, who's dropped out of the series, in 17th. Kalen Duncan wasn't too consistent early on in the season, but he's shown up for the last few rounds and been given a fair crack. Darren Kemp, he's had some really good runs, and is one of the stars of the show at the Surfers Paradise round that obviously we both commentated, Peter, and he'll be hoping to in one or preferably both race of the reverse grid races do really well, so look out for him. And of course Brian Walsh there in 20th. And well, go to the teams championship. The Holden Racing team are the team champions. That's been over for quite a while. But we do have Triple Eight Race Engineering 300 points ahead of Tickford, so Tickford have jumped Techno with only Termo driving for the last few rounds for Techno. Ford Performance Racing in 5th. Gary Rogers have been the team on the move. They probably won't get up into 5th, but they'll give it a fair crack tonight. Then we have Triple Eight Satellite Engineering, Jack Daniels Racing, and Norton Hornets, another team that has moved up in recent rounds with both drivers showing up, which is good to see. And, of course, Brad Jones Racing in 10th place. Alright, so it has ticked over to the race session. I'll just get our HUD up and ready, and then we'll have Mr. Pete Savage here run us through the grid once again for what is going to be a very, very intriguing and of course a very, very important battle here at Manfeild Circuit. Chris, Amon. And away we go. And Pete, run us through the grid for race 1.
Alright, starting from pole, we have Scott Stancliffe, who I think that's his second one in a row. He has been one of the drivers that have showed some massive improvement this season. So congratulations to him, and that he'll be hoping for a win. Tim Redmond starting out a second, with championship leader Steve Burko in 3rd. Hans starting in 4th, with Wayne in 5th in the Green Eyed Monster Falcon. Orgit with one of his better results that he's had this season, up into 6th place. He's done very well. Congratulations. With Lion Mitch starting just behind him. Matt Cecil starting out at 8th with Darren Kemp in 9th. And Nether rounds out your top 10. 11th place is debutant Peter Thrower. He has showed some massive improvement coming into this round. Hopefully he'll be knocking on the doors for a top 10. Taipan in 12th. With Termo starting in 13th in the Lightning McQueen Commodore. Cheese in 14th with Dane Liccardo starting 15th. Brian Walsh in my favourite livery on the grid, 16th. Kalen Duncan 17th with Snipes in 18th. He'll be hoping to move through the grid after probably not one of his better qualifying sessions. Daniel Cox 19th with Ben Pearson in the lane at the moment out of 20th. Lachlan Locke starting 21st with Coulston in 22nd. Rhodey starting 23rd with Glenn Miles rounding out the field in 24th.
Yeah, so Pearson starting his first race from the pits. Hopefully he knows not to cross the line before it goes green. Oh, I just typed that in the chat actually. So he doesn't end up getting disqualified, but drivers now just starting to form up on the grid. Our leader's going to be waiting for just a little bit here. As you can see, drivers further back just starting to arrive towards the grid now. Curved grid here, so it might be a little bit awkward for the cars a little bit further back, trying to floor it away and then having to make slight steering adjustments. And well, we did see Mike Coulson have a little bit of a half spin off the practice start in the warm-up as well. Short run to turn 1. Hans has been a fast starter, so his is going to be one to look out for. He seems to get away like a rocket ship. But looks like we're just waiting for someone to form up. Lights are on though for race 1 of 3 from Manfeild. Away we go. Looks like Tim Redmond had a crack of a start, and Hans also got a nice jump. He's looking to go around the outside of Stancliffe into turn 1. Redmond leads away. It will be Stancliffe. And then importantly for Burko up the inside of Hans. So Burko trying to get that position back. And he will just hold on for now. And it looks like everybody through the first couple corners okay. Hans now having to fend off Wayne Spencer. And Lime Mitch already up a spot into 6th. Looking to go up into 5th around the outside of Wayne Spencer.
Very clean start from the build. It's been a little bit of bumping and parging, but that has been a very good start considering how tight this track is.
And we've got Lime Mitch just sending it up the inside of Wayne Spencer there at the last moment there. Up another spot into P5. He's going to have to move his way forward here, because finishing behind Burko in this race will be almost disastrous for any chance he has. And around the outside, they're going to, well, Wayne Spencer's going to try it. He's going to try it, and well, he's got his nose just ahead, but he will have the inside will lie Mishra also having a go. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 1 here. I don't advise it, but they're going to try it. So it looks like Mishra just now backing out of it. Lion Mitch still holding on, and he will claim that position. Mishra, though, looks like he may look to steal P6 from Wayne Spencer. So Mishra having a crack, Spencer having a crack, and Lion Mitch doing what he has to do to move forward and chase after Burko. Mishra does get the job done for now, locks up, and Spencer takes that position back. A little bit of contact between the two, but very, very good racing early on here.
Yeah, it's been very clean. It's been nice to see as Stancliffe sends it on Redmond. I'll go side by side down the back straight. Redmond looks like he just didn't get too good of a run out of that corner, and it looks like Stancliffe will be ahead going into the double right hander.
Oh, and Redmond's wide. He's almost on the grass there. If he was a couple mil wider, that would have opened the door for Burko. But it's closed the front 4 up and front 5 up as well. So Stancliffe 104.4 on that last lap as Redmond has a look up the inside, and he's going to have a fair old crack at it. And he'll get the job done. This brought Burko into play. Stancliffe may have a look into the next corner though. He thought about it, but not quite close enough. He'll come up into the hairpin, but these front 5 separated by nothing. A little bit of a nudge between the two Kiwis there. But Redmond holds on for now, and now Stancliffe coming under attack from Burko.
Yes, it's been a great start from the front 5. Again, it has been very, very clean up and down the field. That is very nice to see. Steve Burko is all over the back of the front, so really trying to press forward in this race to try and get as many points on a hard charging line, Mitch.
Yeah, these front 2 battling hard. Burko will probably just want to get out of it and not really want to be involved too much in it, but he is going to have to make a move at some point because his teammate is right there. In fact, got Mishra starting to close up on the back of it as well. In fact, he's the fastest lap of the race. So as we see, Lion Mitch deep on the brakes and up the inside of Hans at turn 1. Hans, I think, saw him coming. So now a little bit of extra pressure on Burko to get the job done and move forward, because his championship rival now right behind him in 4th place. It's a little bit of contact between the two. Now Burko is going to have to be a little bit wary here into the next right-hander, because Lion Mitch has made a late move there in the past. He's having a look again, and Burko, a little bit of contact as well between all of them there. I think a bit of contact between Burko and Stancliffe, as well as Lion Mitch and Burko. And Lion Mitch now looking to make a move on Stancliffe. So now the ball is in Burko's court as Redmond wide at the final corner. That's going to compromise Stancliffe a little bit. He's going to have to get out of it. Burko's got the best run out of all of them, and he's going to have to try and sweep around the outside of his teammate. And he's going to have to try and hold on around the outside as well if he wants to get by Stancliffe, who's trying to set up a move on Redmond. So it's all kinds of crazy racing here at the front, Peter.
Yeah, that was amazing, and for them to all get through that cleanly too. And that was absolutely insane. Very, very bad for Steve though. He has not really progressed, and he's actually lost spots to Lion Mitch, who has managed to come from being in, I think it was 7th place up to 2nd, and now charging out Stancliffe.
Yeah, so Lion Mitch just been that much aggressive under brakes, and that's contact between himself and Stancliffe. Now these two do have a little bit of a rivalry going, so we'll have to watch out between these two, because I do not think Stancliffe is going to give Lion Mitch anything in this one. We have seen obviously close racing between Redmond and Stancliffe, and they were pretty fair with each other, but we may not see that between Lion Mitch and Stancliffe. We have seen Redmond though get back by Lion Mitch. And, well, was it 5-car train? Looks like it's now a 7-car train with not just Mishra, but also Wayne Spencer at the back of the queue. So these front guys all battling hard. It's not letting them get away here. And who knows what the final result is going to be in this first sprint race. Yeah,
it'd be pretty interesting if there's a little bit of a Bradbury between the front few, and Wayne Spencer or Orchard managed to get a win. But yeah, it's been absolutely fiery at the front. It's good to see the aggression back from Redmond after losing the position to Lime. He sent it straight back with Lime Mitch trying again at that corner. Seems to be a very good one for him to get an overtake. Yeah, it's been very interesting start, and yeah, I'm still under Steve Burko. He really needs to push his case, as Redmond has been overtaken again from Lime Mitch.
I do want to cut to a replay to see what happened there, because I was trying to scroll through and it looks like Burko just wanting to get a piece of the action. I thought he might run into the back of Redmond there. He has in the mid corner, but not in the entry, thankfully. But just cut to a short replay. I wonder if... No, just a big dive again. So Lime Mitch is just sending it everywhere and able to get it to stick. So it's just more committed.
Oh, Redmond's around.
He is around. Again, just fast forward, cut to a short replay just so we can see what happened and see if there was just, yeah, a little bit of contact, unfortunately, between himself and Burko. It wasn't deliberate. It's just one of those things into that corner. It's just a bit awkward. Unfortunate for Redmond, but he's still there in 7th place. And if Lime Mitch and Stancliffe duke it out, it will bring, obviously, that whole pack once together, all close together again.
Yeah, and that would be great to see. You know, championship fight is obviously on.
Oh,
Steve will be pushing very hard.
Cheese around, and we've also got, as I bring that up, you got Matt Cecilane, both making calamitous errors at the same point, but completely separate. Cecil just overcorrecting it, and that's dropped him well down the field. I was actually about to praise the Nissan driver there, but he's, you know, for jumping up through the field, but that mistake's cost him dearly. But now it looks like Stancliffe and Lime Mitch have bolted with all that has gone on. Burko looks like he was maybe at some point tried to slow down to redress, but he's lost quite a bit of time to Lime Mitch. So he's going to have to just refocus now, not worry about Tim Redmond unless Redmond catches back up and he just lets him go and redresses. But yeah, he's going to have to put the hammer down and start putting pressure back on his teammate. It does look like he's starting to do here now that he's not under as much pressure as what he was earlier on.
Yeah, he has made a little bit of a distance. Him and Lime Mitch actually did almost identical first sectors, where Burko has actually got him by 2/10 in the middle sector. But yeah, that last lap really doing favours for Lime Mitch and Stancliffe, who both did low 4s, while the rest of them did high 6s. And it looks like everyone at the front has done a 1:14.1.
Yeah, 1:04.1 for the front three.
1:04, yeah.
And yeah, it looks like Hans also matched it as well. So now that these guys aren't battling, they're able to set some quick lap times out there. And yeah, the gap between Lime Mitch and Burko stayed at 2.6 seconds throughout that last lap. He has been able to claw back a 10th on this one, but he's going to need to pretty much hope for a mistake, I reckon. At this point, with only 4 laps to go, if he wants to put a bit of pressure and get by Lime Mitch in this one. Just have a little quick scroll through the field. So, obviously Stancliffe, Lime Mitch, Burko, Brunswick, Mishra, Wayne Spencer and Tim Redmond. After that, you got Darren Kemp. He's up in 8th, but a few laps ago he certainly wasn't in 8th. There was a couple spots lower down than that. And we've got Netherelm and Termo battling out for 3rd place in the standings. And they're 9th and 10th on the road at the moment. Daniel Cox, he's up a few spots there in 11th place. So he's going along nicely in this one. And they've got Kalen Duncan there in 12th, having a bit of a slide there on next to the final corner. Peter Thrall in 13th. Snipes in 14th, up 4 spots. Taipan in 15th, he's dropped down a couple. Rhodey up 7th, so he's having a really good run in this one. And then we have Mike Coulston and Liccardo and Cheese side by side through the final corner. With Lachlan Locke in 20th, Miles 21st, Pearson who started from the pits in 22nd, and then Matt Cecil having an absolute nightmare after running fairly well early on. He's dropped all the way down to 23rd with Ryan Walsh our only retirement.
These top 6 are really doing some good times. The top 6 were only separated by 2.5 tenths on that last lap, with Orchard being the quickest out of the lot. Stancliffe, leading the race, was the slowest out of the top 5.
1:04.4 on that last lap for Stancliffe, so 6 tenths separating 1st and 2nd. And a little bit of a lock-up again. But so these two, as I mentioned earlier, do have a bit of history. So I do expect Stancliffe to not give an inch. And Lime Mitch, we do know he will, if he gets close enough, he will send it. With a championship on the line, he really does have to, with his championship rival just one position behind him. That said though, if ends up going pear-shaped, Burko could be in a good position as, yeah, that gap between first and second on this lap has certainly come down. And I reckon Lime Mitch just in slipstream range as well, so we may see him just creep a little bit closer. He may be close enough to have a crack on the next lap or perhaps even on the final lap.
Yeah, and one little thing to know about it too is there is a question mark over Burko's head with the incident with Redmond. I haven't seen the full incident, I only seen the end of it, but that might play in Lime Mitch's head as well. But yeah, if I was him, I would 100% be going to get front in this race. And again, he's taken another 2.5 tenths out of Stancliffe, so he's really looking to take this to the line.
And also had Burko close up a little bit as well on the pair of them. So gap now 2.2 seconds between first and third. And looks like going back down the field, Termo's got by Netherelmian for 9th place. So that's vital in their battle for 3rd place in the standings. But Stancliffe now coming up to Van Pearson. So that's why he's got his lights ablaze. And, well, he's got a big red machine in his mirrors. And, well, he's going to be close enough to make a move. So he's going to have to be wary into the final corner, is Stancliffe, because we have seen Lime Mitch a couple of times, Pete, just send it up the inside of the final corner here.
Yeah, and it's going to make it more tricky with this back marker in the way too, who I don't think he knows too much about.
It's awkward.
It's awkward.
And it's balked both the leaders. Unfortunately, Burko not quite close enough to make any use of it. But in the end, I guess it worked out because neither of them sort of lost, compared to each other at least. They didn't really lose any time. So I guess that worked out for the best. That said though, on the final lap here, Lime Mitch all over the back of the Red Bull Holden Racing team. And Scott Stancliffe there. A couple tenths separating the two. Lime Mitch will definitely have a crack. Also got Burko on this lap, has caught up massively as well. So if there is an incident, he's in prime position to pick up a win with just 2 corners to go.
Yeah, and Stancliffe is very aware to Lime Mitch being good at this back corner here. Very defensive line. And
he's just parked it smartly, so Lime Mitch couldn't get him on the up and under. He's going to have to be wary again into the final corner. He's just parked his car in the middle of the road. He's going to force Lime Mitch to go around the outside, and he's going to try it. And again, just balking him in the middle of the track. And, well, Stancliffe will just hold on and take a race 1 here. Lime Mitch will be second. Burko catching them in the end with that battle going on. Will finish third. Hans, solid P4. Wayne Spencer, good result from him in P5. And Mishra taking out, I do believe, Pete, his best ever result in Super 2. So great effort from Mishra in this one. Redmond, after that unfortunate contact with Burko, will finish down in 7th place. He was hoping for a bit more battling to take place so he could catch back up, but that just didn't materialise. And we've still got... Oh no, I do believe Darren Kemp has finished. Termo did finish ahead of Netherelm in 9th place. Daniel Cox in 11th. Kalen Duncan in 12th. Peter Thrower in 13th. Taipan 14th. Rhodey, good effort from him in 15th, followed by Dane Liccardo. Cheese in 17th. He'll be ruining that mistake early on because he was running in 8th place. Coulston in 18th. Lachlan Locke in 19th, followed by NZ Snipes, Glenn Miles, Ben Pearson and Matt Cecil, who will be, well, he'll be glad it's a reverse grid race and he can start from the front in the next one, that's for sure, Pete.
Yeah, definitely.
And Brian Walsh, our only non-finisher in that one. So those that don't know, it is reverse grid, but you do have to finish to be eligible for the reverse grid race. So Brian Walsh will be starting 24th in the in race 2 regardless. And Matt Cecil will start from pole position, unless, of course, he opts to want to start from back. But after that race, probably not. But, well, Pete, that was a very, very entertaining race with, outside of I wouldn't say it was a lull, it was just more so the cars spread out a little bit. But up and down the field, But certainly, those front 7 cars, separated by nothing, lap times were very, very close together, and great racing. And who could have picked a winner, really, up until that final corner?
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to pick a winner in that one. That was a great battle at the front, and yeah, some very clean driving. There was a little bit of bumping here and there, but yeah, it was pretty generally some nice racing at the front. And some drivers like Urjit Mishra, who really showed it up in that race. That was a great run from him in quali and the race, and he'll be hoping that he can march forward in the reverse grid.
And yeah, so he'll be hoping to keep that bit of hot form going. Lime Mitch, we saw, has shown that you can get by at this circuit. You just got to be a little bit aggressive. Did see early on, particularly both the Kiwis out front, Tim and Scott, did fall victim to particularly that second last corner there, that right-hander where Lime Mitch was just so much more confident under braking. It wasn't quite the conventional line where drivers thinking, okay, I'll just take the conventional line and get a better exit. But I guess they learned out the hard way. Obviously, we did see Stancliffe figured it out on the last lap just to be a little bit more defensive there and not open the door. But he has shown Lime Mitch he can pass around here. That said, starting at the back though is a different prospect than just starting a few cars down.
Yeah, and it was very evident in that race that it is very hard to pass. But Lion Mitch was showing the field exactly how to do it, although some of them might have been just a little bit aggressive and could potentially end up being a penalty if he isn't careful. But I'd say all of them were legal, and yeah, he did do a very good job at carving his way through the grid.
Yeah, they're all quite measured. They weren't out of control. There may have been one where he did lock up a little bit and there's a little bit of contact, but there was certainly for the most part, he was really, really clean, and drivers just weren't aware to it. They were just maybe just thinking of the car in front as opposed to knowing what was around him, and he's able to get the moves done. So it'll be one to look out for in the next one. Obviously, Hans is a fantastic starter. He'll be another one to look out for in the reverse grid race if he can get a good jump away. But turn 1, I reckon, is going to be a bit of a sticking point where it is very, very tight, and the faster guys being at the back and some slower guys being at the front, it may cause some issues.
Yeah, and yeah, I reckon it will be pretty hard for the front guys to get their way through the grid in this reverse grid race. For these next 2 races, I am really hoping that we do at least get one more race winner who has not won up to this date. But yeah, above that, I would love for the championship to be decided in the last few laps of the last race.
Yeah, I honestly reckon that will be the case. It's going to be very, very tight. I don't know if you have the championship points sorted at this stage, but it certainly would be worth a look after, Lime Mitch did claw back just a few points on Steve Burko in that last race by finishing a position ahead. So he'll need a bit more of a helping hand in this one. And, well, we do know that he's capable of getting through the field, so he'll be one to look out for at the start of this one. Anyway, we'll just take a short, probably just a minute or 2 break. Just got to sort out the reverse grid and all that stuff. But we shall be back in a couple of minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. Right, and welcome back to the final round of the Automobilista Australia Super 2 Championship here from Manfeild circuit. Chris Amon, where Scott Stancliffe was able to take race 1, and that of course means he'll start at the back for race 2. In the warm-up session, the reverse grid is set. Hopefully you don't have to reset due to any issues or the grid being quite out of order due to times being set in practice, but I guess we'll find out sooner or later. But Pete, this next race here, I've said it a couple of times throughout the season, but I think this one here, race 2, is going to be the one that either sets up Lime Mitch's championship run and give him a real shot in the final race, or it's going to be the one that hands Burko the championship. It is the most important race of the season for those two. Probably also the most important battle between race 4, Termo and Netherrealmian as well. So this second race here, even though there is 3, it is going to be the most important of the season.
It definitely is. Having a bad run here and letting your championship rival get all the points on you, you may be able to start high up in the third race, but the other driver gets to battle his way through a lot of the slower drivers that aren't exactly absolute demons out there pace wise. So yeah, you really want to bag as many points as you can in every race, and dropping down or not being able to get through the field just is not going to cut it in this last round. But they obviously do have to make sure that they do it safely, otherwise they could end up with a question mark over their head and possibly not win the title.
Yeah, there could be potential penalties. So normally there would be, if you do pick up a penalty, you'll pick up a rear of good start, or if it was bad enough, perhaps even a pit lane start and a rear of good start for the next race after that. But being the final round of the season, there is no other round, so and there is no live steward, so there'll be point penalties. So you're not going to want to pick up any penalties. I do know Burko may pick one up for race 1 in contact between himself and Tim Redman, but that will be checked. See after the race racing tonight. But I think another thing that's going to be quite vital is going to be, you don't want to get caught up in other people's accidents. Obviously we are going to have faster guys behind slower guys at the start of the race. And that first lap is going to be very, very hectic with such a pace difference. But we also have seen drivers just struggle to keep it on the road at times. So you don't want to be, chubbing around there, doing all right, and then, a car makes a mistake a couple spots ahead of you, and you end up getting, T-boned out of nowhere as they rejoin back onto the track. So that will be something to look out for. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but when you do start down the field, you do put yourself, or you do find yourself in positions where you end up in accidents where you couldn't control the outcome of.
Yeah, and this is the formula of a great race, this second race right now. Drivers haven't done many laps in a race around here. There's a championship that is getting tighter and tighter as every race goes on. It's a reverse grid race. The pace between first to last is a few seconds. It is extremely hard to pass around here, and a lot of these drivers will be fighting to get every point they can, and will definitely make it hard for those back runners to make their way through. I reckon this has everything in a formula for a great race is right here, including that a lot of drivers had never heard of this track coming into tonight.
See, a few of the Kiwis had heard of it, but you ask any of the Australians if they'd heard of it, and it was a resounding no. Where the hell is this place? They have enjoyed it from what I've heard though, but yeah, with the pace difference, as we see Cecil running in the back of one of the DJR cars there, I think it was Locke. It is going to be it is set up. Where whether it be a great race where there's fantastic racing, or just a crazy race where we've got incidents galore, just mixes up the field, mixes up the championship fight. It could end up being Sydney 2010 all over again. I know it doesn't rain in Automobilista, but it could be something similar where perhaps there's an accident between two championship rivals, and they end up down the field, and then it's just a battle between those guys as they try and fight their way back. So you never know. It is sim racing, and like motor racing, anything can happen, and well, it usually does. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Normally in these races, you'd put your money on Live Mitch or Burko or someone like that to just be able to gun it through the field. But honestly, that midfield is pretty tight, and it's going to be difficult for those quicker guys early on if they can't get by off the start line. Those guys in the midfield. So this is going to be a very, very intriguing race. I know race 1 was pretty entertaining. Race 2, Pete, the first time all season, I honestly do not know how. I can't see who's going to win. Maybe obviously Cecil starting from the start, from the front. He probably should walk away with it, knowing his pace. But outside of that, if he doesn't make a mistake for second place, I honestly don't know who's going to finish there. I can't. It could be difficult for Lime Mitch around here. Burko could get up there. Redmond, Stancliffe. There could be incidents. I just don't know. So, have you got any hints or any idea of, or any guess of who's going to finish first, second, and third in race 2 here?
Yeah, the only driver I can think of right now, as a winner would be Matt Cecil. I think NZ Snipes is starting right at the front of the grid too, where I think just quite a few drivers who know that they don't exactly have the pace to be able to carve through a field. They've actually, like they may have had a bad run in the first race, but they've really set themselves up for this second race and will most likely run away with it. But yeah, outside of Cecil, I don't really know who could win this.
Well, we do have
there's way too much that could happen, and yeah, it's just way too tight of a track for me to know.
We do have an issue. Did have someone Snipes' computer locked up, so we'll be just restarting to the warm up so he can get back in. But it was interesting you mentioned him. He's one that has been pretty quick, and generally in these second and third races, he's been the one to look out for. I do believe he picked up his best first race result. Is it either the last round out or the round before, where he may have even picked up a podium in one of the first races in the last couple rounds. I can't remember which one, but he's certainly one that Cecil is going to have to worry about a little bit, and that'll just make it a little bit more interesting if Cecil and Snipes can get away early on. Obviously, it will be a little bit more difficult for Snipes starting from the second row. If they can get away, that's less points available for Lime Mitch to get back at Burko. So it will be very, very interesting. As NZ Snipes has returned, and everyone's leaving the pits, but we will be ticking over to the race straight away.
Yeah, Snipes has not managed to get a podium in his last 7 races. In his last 7, his lowest position is actually 7th. He has in the last 3 rounds he's been finishing around 6th to 3rd, so to 4th. Sorry, it'll be very interesting in this second race. I am hoping for Cecil and Snipes' sake, and also the championship, that the pair of them run away and really keep the point gap between each position that the back runners can get. Just keeping that a little bit lower so that the championship does stay nice and tight for the last race.
Looks like everybody ready to go in this one. And even though I know Matt Cecil has had a bit of a horror run of late, hopefully I would like to see him pick up a really good result, but it really would be pretty cool to see Snipes come through here and put it all together and take a win as well and have another first time winner in the series. We've had a number of guys take their first wins, and hopefully it can continue. And we've got Mike Coulston. Looks like he's missed the start. He'll start from the pit lane by the look of it. But formation lap underway. Pete, why don't you lead us away and run through the grid for race number 2?
Alright, starting in race 2, we have Matt Cecil from pole position, with Ben Pearson starting in 2nd. NZ Snipes, who would be potentially hoping that he can get his first win, which I do want another race winner, so Hopefully he can keep his car on the road and work his way forward. Lachlan Lock out of 4th. Mike Coulson starting from the pit lane, who should be in 5th, but that is now occupied by Cheese. Then we have Dane Liccardo and Rody starting on the 4th row of the grid. Taipan and Peter Thrower on the 5th, with Kalen Duncan and Daniel Cox, who was flown under the radar, starting in 12th. Nether in 13th with Termo 14th. Their championship fight is only 72 points. Bad race from either of them could be.
We've got Cecil's had it off on the formation lap. I had to cut you off there, but yeah, Cecil down the second of the long straights here, just warming his tyres, got on the grass and looped it, but he's making his way through the field now.
Just got flashbacks from the GT3 round on Tuesday where I drove off the track on the formation lap. Darren Kemp starting in 15th, Redmond starting in 16th, first of our big hitters. 17th, Audit Mishra, Wayne Spencer in 18th, Hahn starting 19th, with the 2 championship contenders, Steve Burko and Liam Mitch, starting 20th and 21st. Scott Stancliffe 22nd, Glenn Miles, who I believe has opted to start rear of the grid, in 23rd.
That's correct.
With Brian Walsh starting out in 24th.
Now, another man to watch that flew under the radar, he was running well early on in race 1, is Cheese. Now, he's starting in 6th in this one. He did, I believe, get up to 8th place early on in race 1 there before having a little bit of an off there. I think it was the second last corner there with I think he and Cecil both had simultaneous offs at the same point. So that dropped them down the field. So he's going to be one to look out for in this one as well. Hopefully he can get away cleanly. Hopefully everyone can get away cleanly and we can have a fantastic race here. Just waiting for Glenn Miles at the back to form up. And that may be Rody slightly out of position on the grid there. That's why it hasn't ticked over. So we're just going to wait the 60 seconds. No, lights are on here for race 2. Away we go. And looks like Tim Redmond had a fantastic start. Hahn's actually had a poor start down the back there. Cecil up the inside into the lead. And Snipes will hold on as well and move up into P2. But looks like they're all through turn 1 and 2 cleanly.
Tim Redmond already up into 7th.
Yeah, so fast starting Tim Redmond. He wants redemption after the contact between he had between himself and Burko. Got one of the Nissans off. Oh, and that's Cheese again. He was actually one of the fast starters and up a couple spots, but that offers cost him deal, and his teammate as well, and the Norton Hornet has dropped to the back. So disaster for those guys. But Redmond already up to P6. Nether has had a fantastic start. He's up 6 spots as well. And he's got quite a number of cars between himself and Termo. And then we've got Lachlan Lock, Stancliffe and Mishra side by side in 10th and 11th. So now big hitters battling it out. And big dive from Liam Mitch up the inside of Mishra, who's trying to get by Lock as well. Bit awkward there. Lifts the fight another day. And Liam Mitch up into 9th. So Liccardo and Taipan side by side into turn 1. We've got Nether off, unfortunately, at turn 1. I wonder if he's helped or if he just outbroke himself. And Redmond has got by Taipan, and he's going to try and move on Liccardo for 4th, and he's going to get it. So fast starting Tim Redmond, and Liam Mitch not too far away either.
It has been insane how quick these fast drivers have got through the field. This is way too tight of a track, and I cannot understand how these drivers got through the field so quick. Redmond is already up 12, Stancliffe up 15, Liam Mitch up 13, Mishra up 8, Wayne up 8, Hahn's up 7, and Burko up 7. They have flown up the grid.
And Burko is going to need to get a move on as we see 3 wide into the final corner. That's Stancliffe up into 6. And Liccardo just being shuffled to the outside there. Liam Mitch will follow through. Mishra also going to look to send a move into turn 1 on Liccardo as well. So Liccardo getting a lesson from some of the faster drivers that if you don't hold your line, you're going to get shuffled back. And a little bit of a mistake from Taipan. And that is Scott Stancliffe all over the back of the Volvo liveried BF Commodore. But the front three, though, they've had great starts and driven away. Pearson's had a nice, solid start in his debut, although he's going to start to come under pressure from Redmond. But Snipes and Cecil, good, solid start. They see themselves about 4.5 seconds ahead of the quick drivers.
Yeah, and it's going to mean so much to them that Ben Pearson manages whatever he can to hold Redmond and that up as long as they can. Snipes and Cecil have both started very well. They haven't really put too much wrong so far in this race, and yeah, hopefully they can both hold on and these front runners start to run into each other and really slow each other up.
Oh, look at Spencer wide at the final corner there. I thought he was going to spear off into the infield, but he lives to fight another day. Mishra's caught up to the back of Line Mitch. Line Mitch tried to send a move up the inside penultimate corner of Taipan. Taipan closed the door at him, but slides on the exit of turn 1 aren't going to help his cause. But at this part of the track, it is difficult for Line Mitch to get by.
Redmond around the outside of Pearson in a spot you wouldn't expect.
Stancliffe up the inside, he's going to go straight away. He outbroke himself though, and Pearson is having none of it. He wants that position back. He's going to fight for this position. Normally in this position, a lot of the slower guys just give up, but no, he wants to get the best position he can as Line Mitch late on the brakes, and he just parks it, makes a little bit of contact with Andy Pearson, but he's up into P5. Burko in 11th.
Wow, that is not what Burko would have wanted so far in this race. Oh,
Pearson he went to turn in, we had a car on his inside, and it's caught him out. And he's going to rejoin the track and almost ran into Ricardo. But lives to fight another day. He'll be thankful it's only 25% damage. Also got Daniel Cox off. And, well, another number of cars down the back there doing a bit of lawn mowing. Got Turbo down in 19th, so he's had a shocker. But his championship rival, Nether, in 15th. So not too many cars between those guys. Have had Burko get by Hans as well as Taipan, and looking to get by Wayne Spencer as well. So Burko now starting to get a move on. What was that?
Snipes is around at the front. He just gassed it up a little bit too hard coming out of the hairpin after the first sector.
He'd closed up. I'm looking at the replay. He'd actually closed up to the back of Cecil as well. Disaster for Snipes. But he still is in P5, and if he can continue driving at the pace he was driving at, he should still be in this leading group, because it will be difficult to get by him.
Yeah, he was doing very well up to that point. Hopefully he can recover and possibly finish still in the top 5. As we see Redmond and Stancliffe going for it for turn 1.
Yeah, Line Mitch fastest lap of the race, but there was a large gap between Redmond and Stancliffe. Redmond just running a little bit wide there at the final corner, and that allowed Stancliffe to go by. And with that battling as well, it's also allowing Burko to close up onto the back of them as well, and in fact Snipes as well starting to close up to the back of Redmond and Line Mitch. There's a bit of a slide on the exit there. Bit of Hollywood action from Tim Redmond. But he's covered well, a lap on from his little escapade, spin. And yeah, Snipes is catching up to the back of Line Mitch, so these guys duking it out are costing themselves time, but they are slow. Well, Stancliffe at least is slowly moving closer to the back of Cecil.
Yeah, Stancliffe has taken 7/10 out of Cecil on this lap so far. It looks like he's going to be on for a low 4, and he actually goes into the 3.
3.9, so lap record. And Line Mitch up the inside at turn 1. Oh, he's bumped Redmond out of the way. It's going to be one that may have to get looked at. It's a little bit of a bump and run. And he's slid at the next corner. Redmond might just send it at the next corner here. Yeah, he's going to do it. Oh, that's awkward. That's very awkward. And, well, he's just returned serve. So, that's exactly what Burko wants. He wants those two to duke it out to the death, and he can get onto the back of Line Mitch and hopefully get in front of him. Exactly what Line Mitch didn't want. Would have been smarter, perhaps, if he just was a little bit more patient, didn't make the contact and give Redmond, red mist. But red mist has been engaged, and these two are battling to the death and bringing an angry pack of cars right up behind them, which was headed by Snipes, but he's dropped back. He must have had enough. It's now Mishra in P5, having a really good run in this round, Pete.
Yeah, he's done very well. This is a Porsche Cup form coming out right here, as Lime Mitch has sent it again on Redmond, but yeah, this was just a little bit too much of aggression between Redmond and Lime Mitch, and not focusing on, for Lime Mitch at least, not focusing on getting the maximum points he can out of the round, and he's been too busy battling with Redmond that he has let Stancliffe get away, and that is potential for points gone begging.
He also hasn't made friends along the way, so he's probably not made a friend of Redmond, and Redmond's going to race him a little bit harder, and it's made things a lot difficult for him because now he's 2.6 seconds behind Stancliffe. As Redmond sideways, and Burko's had a good run on this lap as well. This side by, well, he may even have a look at the final corner on Mishra here. So he's closed right up on these guys, and he can see his championship rival just a couple spots down. And 3 or 4 laps ago, he wouldn't have imagined seeing his teammate, but there he is. And Redmond going defensive, and Burko didn't. Well, it was a long way down the road was Redmond, who's going very, very slowly through turn 1, but Burko gets the job done. Gives Redmond a little bit of Morse code of, I think the message was hurry up. And, well, they both live to fight another day. Burko up into P5 and looking to get up into 4th.
Yeah, and Steve Burko taking a page out of Lime Mitch's book down at that back hairpin, absolutely throwing it at Border. Just a little bit too far back, so he wasn't able to get the run, but it's good to see the aggression. It's good to see that he's really fighting for this championship. And, yeah, we'll see how it goes. At the moment, it looks like the championship lead is going to come down from 30, is now 36 points. With everyone finishing in the order they're currently in, it will go down to 18. So Lime Mitch is doing exactly what he needs to bring this championship fight nice and close.
Certainly is. Also very, very tight at the top now. So 10 laps have been completed, and the gap now half a second between Cecil and Stancliffe. And then a couple seconds between Lime Mitch and Stancliffe, and Burko trying to go around the outside of turn 1 on Redmond. Not really going to do it there, but he wants to get that extra position and minimise the damage lost to his teammate. And at this stage, he's probably faster than his teammate, just not enough laps remaining, but he still has to get by Tim Redmond. Further up though, Cecil hasn't had a good run, and Stancliffe up the inside. Will he pull it up? Cecil gives him the space. They're going to go side by side, and Stancliffe will get the job done, but Cecil will have the slipstream and will probably want to fight that position back. As further back, we've got Redmond and Burko side by side. Also got Wayne Spencer and Mishra side by side as well. So it's all going on. And Redmond a little bit wide again at the final corner, but he is able to get on the power a little bit earlier. A little bit further back, side by side again, Mishra and Spencer. And Mishra holding on for now. But Spencer wanting that position, and Hans hoping they knock each other off, and he can get 2 for 1 as Redmond up the inside of Burko at turn 1. Spencer up the inside and then off at turn 1. It's all happening with a couple laps to go. Burko really needs this position, but Tim Redmond really wants that position up the inside though. Burko, he'll get the position. Will he get the drive? No, he won't. That'll be Redmond who will have the drive and the inside into the penultimate corner. Redmond having to go defensive. Burko again, he'll try and go around the outside, and he'll get the better drive this time. But again, he won't have the inside for the final corner.
Wow, this track's really bringing it out for both ways. Taking the inside line or the outside line, either way can work as long as you get a very nice exit, as the pair of them have just shown.
Side by side for pretty much the entire lap. Burko with a slightly better run out of the final corner. Once again, you're going to try and go around the outside. And, well, this time, yeah, he backs out of it. He's not going to get the job done. He's going to have to try and set it up at another position. But running on the grass on the exit like that isn't going to help his cause. I think the penultimate corner is his safest bet. I know you can do it at this little hairpin here, but it does compromise your run at the next corner. And both of them not really taking the greatest of lines there. And Redmond going a bit defensive.
Cecil has managed to find some form since going behind Stancliffe. He has started doing some mid mid fours in the last few laps, very close to his best lap of the race, and he's actually only losing just 2 to 3 tenths a lap to Lion Mitch, so he might actually hold on for second.
Bit of contact between Redmond and Burko, and it's, well, Burko's got the position in the end. Redmond has lost out of all that, so important for Burko. But yeah, I think Cecil being behind Stancliffe has been a good thing for him. It's enabled him to sort of follow the lines and pick up the braking points that Stancliffe is able to, and it's sort of teaching him, maybe not teaching him, but certainly giving him help around the circuit. The slipstream could also be an added help. So he's right there if Stancliffe makes a mistake here in the final couple corners. But importantly in the championship fight, Burko getting the job done over Redmond. Further back, it looks like Spencer had a little bit of an off there, and that's allowed Hans to go through. But Stancliffe, 1 corner to go from him, and he's going to go 2 from 2 here. So getting the job done on home soil. And yeah, he'll get that done. So great effort from Stancliffe, great effort from Cecil. He did what he had to do, as did Lion Mitch. Didn't quite have the ultimate pace in the end to win or get second, but still solid 3rd place. Burko, late charge at the end, getting him P4, doing what he has to do for the championship. And Mishra, great effort from him in P5, followed by Redmond, Hans Brunswick, Wayne Spencer, all those guys having a nice battle throughout the race as well. Taipan in 9th, great effort from him. Dane Liccardo in 10th in one of his better runs of the season. Darren Kemp, solid P11 from him. Daniel Cox in 12th. Callan Duncan 13th. Cheese in 14th. He'll be ruining once again that early off. Termo in 15th. Rhodey in 17th. And Nether, a couple spots back from his championship rival Termo in 17th. NZ Snipes showing his disgust at being in a fantastic position and throwing it away. He finished 18th in the end. Mike Coulston 19th. Ben Pearson, after a valiant effort early on, in the end falling down to 20th. Lachlan Locke in 21st. Peter Thrower will finish 22nd. Miles 23rd. And Brian Walsh makes sure all cars this time finish race 2. And Pete, it's all down to this one race. And with the racing we've seen so far, it's going to be a cracker. And there's going to be a bit of nerves out there from, I reckon, Mr. Burko and Mr. Lion Mitch, because anything can happen in this race. You could have an off, someone could send you off, or, you know, a little bit of early perceived pressure with perhaps your rival getting a better start and being a few positions ahead could force an unforced error. What are we in store here for the final race of the Super 2 season?
I would have absolutely no idea. That race went completely against anything I thought. Great drive from Cecil to hold second, and an even better drive from Dane Liccardo, who managed to get his first top 10 finish of the season. A very great drive from him. He's only 16 seconds down at the end of the race, so he was able to keep some good consistency in that one.
Yeah, he was certainly in the wars early on. A few laps in, he had Stancliffe, Lion Mitch, Burko, and Tim Redmond all and Mishra all trying to get by him at the same time. So he was in the wars there, did a really good job to keep his head, and obviously maintained that concentration and pace and was able to finish in the top 10. So great effort from him. And obviously great effort from Matt Cecil, having a nice clean run, which will be certainly good for the confidence after having pretty rough few weeks, or probably more than a few weeks, probably a rough month or two of some, you know, he hasn't had the greatest run, but that second place is certainly going to help him, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's been quite a few nice drives so far in this round. Orchard has been one that is that one's been very surprising. Like he has finished at the front, but you know, not only just got the good result in the first race, but he started the reverse grid race at the back with all the fast drivers, He has not conceded positions to be at the rear of the fast drivers. He stayed in the midst of them and managed to go through the grid with them and keep his good position and even pass Redmond at the end of the race. So he's done very well in these two races, and he could potentially be one of those drivers to really throw something up in this championship.
Yeah, he's done a really good job so far in this round. And here's another one. It's like Scott Stancliffe. Well, I guess you couldn't really say that Stancliffe, you know, he's always had pace, but he's ironed out the mistakes. But Mishra, he's come from a different position where early on he perhaps didn't quite have the confidence or the pace. But as the season's progressed, he's certainly picked up his pace and doing really, really well here, mixing it up with some of the big boys. So it really is good and heartening to see these guys as the season progresses end up, picking up a little bit of pace and seeing them run towards the front. So it is fantastic to see.
Yeah, this season has thrown up a lot. Actually, just took a quick look. It looks like the Kiwis have taken 8 of the last 10 wins between Redmond and Stancliffe. So they have absolutely dominated as of late. I can see Lion Mitch and Hans Brunswick have the other two. So yeah, Stancliffe has dominated. The top two drivers in the championship have not been able to get a win since before Phillip Island. And yes, Stancliffe actually has 5 of the last 10. So, wow.
He's been a man on a mission. It's just a shame for him that he joined so late in the championship. So, because as you say there, his form, as you can see, that last few rounds has been stellar. His pace has been as good as anybody's, and he's also got that ability, like Mitch, to get through the field on the reverse grid races. So he's got the whole package here in Super 2. And after race 2, he probably has to be the favourite once again for race 3.
Yeah, he probably does. He's got a lot of pace under that hood. And yeah, like not only has he been one of the top drivers lately, but he's actually been getting his wins without even being really written down as getting warnings for any incidents. He has been another driver who has even done better than Steve Burko, who's shown to have a little bit of crack since this championship pressure's been put on him. But Stancliffe has been keeping it really clean and tidy, as well as taking all of the good results.
Yeah, so he's certainly going to be one to look out for in the summer series. We do have some things that we will be trying to work on in the future in AMSOZ. So we may see a series or two in the future, another series start up on a different weeknight to sort of accommodate the Kiwis. But of course, that'll be something that obviously we need a little bit more, obviously, information. We need to gather, some information from surveys, and obviously the admins ourselves will see if we can, if we do have the time and the service to run that stuff. But they've been really impressive, both Redmond and Stancliffe. But Stancliffe certainly, the past few rounds has been the most outstanding driver in the field, just pace-wise. Redmond may have him a little bit more in consistency, I think, but overall speed, certainly the last few rounds, Stancliffe has been the man to beat.
Yeah, and it has been good from the pair of them to show up in racing as much as they can. I do believe that there's something going on in New Zealand right now, which is causing a few of them to be home a bit more than usual. But the pair of them have been very dominant. They have shown up in every series as much as they can. Redmond has done really well when he has battled some of the top drivers, and hopefully something can be moved around for some of the other Kiwis to have a crack in main game supercars next season.
Yeah, we're still not sure. There will be discussions that will be taking place with regards to next season. But even if, say the main supercar series isn't moved, there will certainly be There is certainly interest for, perhaps a Kiwi supercar series on their own. So it is something that may go ahead in future. But just being advised now that we will be down to 23 cars for this one, with Mike Coulston out of this one. So I'm going to assume that Mr. Coulston is on the phone, which for those at AMSOZ that's been in the Discord when he's been racing, we all know that he is very, very busy trying to sort out and run some. He's, meant to be in Saudi Arabia. But we'll just take a minute or two break as I sort the grid for the final race of the championship, where it is Lime Mitch versus Steve Burko, as well as Termo versus Nether Romian. So catch us in a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere.
You tried riding it too quickly, didn't you?
Alright, and welcome back. We're minutes away to the final race of the Automobilista Australia Super 2 Championship. And what is the gap, Peter? It is, what, 27 points or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, 27 points between Steve Burko and Lime Mitch. It's going to be a crazy race, this one. Both the championship runners really did what they needed to do in race 2, so at a status quo. But being reverse grid, of course, means they're going to have to do it all over again. And as we've seen, Lime Mitch does seem to have the advantage brute in these reverse grid races. But we did see towards the end of that last race there, Burke was able to get the hammer down and get the elbows out and get some moves done, which got him into a very vital, I think, 3rd place in the end.
Yeah, he really did need those points. He was able to advance through the field, as it did take him quite a while to go through the field in that race. But yeah, he's going to need a bit more of that, but a bit earlier on in this second race, especially if Mitch carves through the field again like he did. Yeah, and for the calculations right now for anyone watching along, if Lime Mitch wins the race, Burko must finish in 3rd place or higher to win the championship. Anything lower, it'll be a win to Lime Mitch. And if Lime Mitch finishes anywhere between 2nd and 4th, Burko must finish within 2 places of Lime Mitch. Otherwise, if they do finish a draw in points, I will believe that Lime Mitch will win on race wins, because they will be equal on points. Go a little bit further down the table, and obviously there can be a few more positions between the pair.
So it is going to be very, very intriguing. Race 3, the final race of the Super 2, at least the Season 1 Championship, coming down to this. Lime Mitch needs to get through the field. Steve Burko needs to get through the field on a very short track. A very busy track and a lot of cars in front of them. 23 cars on the grid for the final race this evening in the final round. With Peter Thrower will get us away. We are one short. Mike Coulston, as you mentioned earlier, probably on the phone trying to sort out some work. Unfortunately, can't make this one. It was still good to see him for the final round here, but we are underway for the formation lap. And Peter, why don't you run us through the grid one last time in what is going to be one hell of a championship finale?
Here we go. We have Peter Thrower, the debutant. Actually, I don't think he is a debutant.
Not a debutant. That's Ben Pearson's the debutant.
From 1st place, wrong person. Lachlan Locke starting from 2nd with the debutant Ben Pearson in 3rd. Snipes getting another crack at the front of the grid in race 3. Hopefully he can make his way through the field and get a race win. Netherrealmian starting in 5th with Rhodey alongside him on the 3rd row of the grid. Turmo in his Lightning McQueen car, starting alongside Cheese, who has had 2 unlucky results so far. He'll be looking for a great result in this one, with his teammate Kalen Duncan right behind him. Daniel Cox starting in the last position inside the top 10, with Darren Kemp and Dane Liccardo after a great race too, starting in 11th and 12th. Taipan will be starting 13th with Wayne Spencer in 14th. Hans Brunswick 15th, Redmond 16th, Orchard having a great round starting from 17th. Championship leader Steve Burko in 18th, followed right behind him by his championship rival Lime Mitch 19th. Matt Cecil, after a great consistent run in race 2, starts out at 20th, with one of the hard chargers of the championship, Scott Stancliffe, starting in 21st. We've got Brian Walsh starting 22nd, who will be upset about his doggies losing to the Cats.
I don't know if he knows it yet, but yeah, he'll be quite annoyed about that one, that's for sure.
Yeah, he definitely will, especially after that start. And Glenn Miles rounding out the grid in 23rd.
Well, the leaders forming up on the grid, and the guys that will be starting at the back still got to navigate the final corner, so they'll be waiting there for quite a while. And I don't know if it's just the way the grid boxes are set in the AIW file, but it looks like a number of the drivers are quite a ways back from the grid lines that are assigned to the game, the actual texture. But Brian Walsh now just starting to form up. Turbo a long way forward in his box, Nether a long way back in his, so may see a bit of nose to tail action there. But the light's about to go on, and we're about to go racing for the final time in Season 1 of Super 2. Away we go. Looks like a good start there from Snipes and Turbo. Redmond, another cracker at the back. And, well, we're 4 or 5 abreast. And, oh, that's Redmond, I think. It's a number of cars. There's Burko around as well. It's a disaster. And, well, he's all the way down at the back. But we've got NZ Snipes into the lead. And Lion Mitch already probably towards the back end of the top 10. Looks like like Locke and Snipes as well, side by side into the little hairpin there. But Kalen Duncan up 4 spots. He's had a really good start. Then we've got Dane Liccardo. He's up 5 spots into 7th place. Hans up 7 spots, but he's got 2 cars up the inside. He's got Stancliffe and 360 Norton there. Stancliffe cheeky up the inside. Up 13 spots and up into 8th. But of course we don't know what really caused that start line incident. We will have to check that at some point. Burko's actually recovered quite nicely. He's not too far away from Lion Mitch, who is now in 10th place. And Pete, well, we're up and running, and 12 hectic laps to go.
Wow, Lion Mitch avoiding that crash at the start. I thought both HR2 cars were gone, and I thought that I had jinxed the pair of them. That is a great recovery from Steve Burko, and it's also been helped by Lion Mitch just being bottled up on the outside of a few corners, not being able to make any moves.
And a bit of contact between the Bodlow car and Penrite car, and that has allowed Lion Mitch just to steal both positions. But now there's starting to be a few cars between Burko and Lion Mitch, but in terms of at least time, there's not too many, or not too far between them, but there is a number of cars that Burko will have to navigate. Scott Stancliffe side by side now with Kalen Duncan, who is one of the fast starters as well in this one. He's up in 4th, but probably going to drop down to 5th, and then probably sooner rather than later 6th and 7th position as well. But still, good effort.
Championship battle straight away is heated up with Lion Mitch currently 3 points ahead.
I think Burko's made a couple of nice moves because he's now in 11th place, and he's got Pearson and Cheese side by side into turn 1. A little bit of contact, I think, or maybe just a little bit of lag, as Cheese a little bit wide there. Pearson walked a little bit. Burko showing his nose a little bit, has to get out of it, as Pearson just moved across him just a little bit, and he's going to have to wait and reload and try and probably send a move at the hairpin. And that's a Nissan off in front, one of the red Nissans. So that's Peter Thrower off. That's another position that Burko needs, but it also would have elevated Lion Mitch as well, who's now in P5 and looking to make a move on Kalen Duncan, and he's got the job done. Hans Brunswick giving Lion Mitch a bit of a hurry up as well. He wants that position 2, and we've also had Scott Stancliffe already up into 2nd place as he gets by Lachlan Locke.
Wow, Stancliffe going for the probably one of the first times that someone has managed to get 3 wins in a sprint series.
And we've got the Nissan off. That's another position, importantly, for Burko. And we've got Pearson and Cox side by side, so 3 abreast. Across the start-finish line. Wayne also sending it up the inside of Cheese as well. Matt Cecil there as well. 3 wide on the exit. It's all happening in that mid-pack, but we've got to sort of stick with the championship battle as well. Hans may be Burko's biggest ally at the moment because he is trying to get by Lion Mitch. He does look a little bit quicker in this one, and he's certainly hustling him along.
Yeah, and the championship battle is just slightly eking out, but Burko still does have quite a few people that he can make his way past in this race. The championship fire has now pushed out to 9 or 12 points.
Oh, a bit of a slide there for Lion Mitch on the exit of the penultimate corner. He is punching a big hole in the air for Hans, and he will go defensive into the final corner. Hans probably going to try and set up an up and under, or set up a move into turn 1. But Lion just a little bit more committed on the throttle on the exit, and Lion will hold that position for now. That said though, that slipstream has helped Hans just a little bit. They've also closed a little bit on Stancliffe as well. I think he made an error towards the end of that lap because they have caught a little bit up to the back of him, and those guys also starting to catch up to the back of NZ Snipes. That said though, Snipes has put together a very solid, good first 4 laps, and I don't think he's going to make it easy for these guys after a couple poor showings in the first 2 races. As we have Burko get by Liccardo.
I reckon he'll have elbows out, Snipes. He'll be going for the race win. There may be still quite a few laps to go in this race, but it is a hard track to pass if you play a little bit more defensive and get off the racing line every once in a while. You do have to be careful about the run on the outside, but yeah, he'll definitely be pushing for a podium. I don't believe he has one, and if he has, he'll obviously definitely want another one. Be a great way to finish the season.
I think he may have picked one up at Barbagallo. Don't hold me to that one, but I know he did very well in that round. Did cut to a replay of Burko getting by Liccardo. Very, very late braking move to turn 1. Speaking of, Stancliffe locking the front right into turn 1 there, so he'll be driving on a 50-cent piece for a while. And that just buys Snipes just that little bit of extra time, and he can breathe just for half a lap or so, but Stancliffe will certainly come again. These front 4 now all starting to get tightly compacted together, and once again, that's Cheese. He's had a half spin, and that's Light Mitch in the way. He's gone around. Burko will have the momentum and may even get by him here, so disaster for Light Mitch, and he's going to crowd out Burko now. He's going to have to go around the outside, and Burko gets the job done. A little bit of contact though. And in the end, he's been forced wide in the end. I'll have to cut a replay to that as well, but we're right on board Lion Mitch. Just unfortunate. NZ Snipes just losing it on the exit. Lion Mitch with nowhere to go. And then getting going again. Lion Mitch just holding the inside line. Burko going around the outside. A little bit of contact on the entry, and then in the mid-corner, just a little bit naughty. And forced Burko wide and got that position. But Burko now side by side with Duncan, our 2 championship rivals, separated by virtually nothing now, and Lion Mitch has to get a wriggle on and get a few positions back and get into the lead of this race if he wants any chance of winning this title.
Yeah, and from here he's going to need Steve Burko to not make any positions on this field, if not go backwards, and he's going to have to come through to win this. He doesn't have any other option at this stage of the race, and it was very unfortunate that he was involved in that little incident last lap. But yeah, they might just want to cool down a little bit, because I do believe Burko isn't exactly happy with Lion Mitch after what happened after the incident. So hopefully they keep a level head.
Like I said, Burko may be under investigation, obviously, for contact between himself and Tim Redmond in race 1. So at the same token, it might be worth Burko just trying to finish in front of Lion Mitch in this one, just to make sure that if he does get a penalty, a points penalty from that he still has the lead in the championship. But at the moment though, this is the first time since race 1 that they've raced each other, but Lion Mitch is off. He's outbroke himself into turn 1. That's exactly what he didn't want. And well, this time he can't blame anyone else but himself. So we'll just cut to an onboard there of Burko's perspective of what Lion Mitch did here into turn 1. Yeah, just a little bit late on the brakes, locked up. And Burko says thank you very much. A little bit surprised on the exit, a little bit of power oversteer, but Burko up into 3rd. Lion Mitch having to hold on to Duncan, who's having one of his, if not his, best run of the season, Pete.
Yeah, he's done very well, and he's staying on his racing line. He's making the front drivers earn their position. He's battling them as hard as he can, but he's keeping it nice and clean at the same time. He's doing a very good job so far. Also and as long as he keeps it clean, he should be on for one of his better results.
Also got Liccardo in 6th place, Locke in 7th as well, Daniel Cox in 8th, Cheese in 9th, and then Darren Kemp, we saw it at Surfers Paradise. He is a difficult man to pass. He's in 10th. He's got Tim Redmond, Matt Cecil and Mishra all stuck behind him at the moment. And that's a couple guys locking up. That's Matt Cecil wide. Redmond also ran a bit wide. Mishra gets a good 2-for-1 deal on that one. And he's going to have a look at the back of Kemp as well. And And up the inside goes Mishra, and he will have that awkward exit, taking that little bit of curb, and he might even lose two, but he will lose two positions here as he has a poor exit. Got Cecil off as well in the background, so unfortunate for him, as Rody has a little half spin as well. Nether and Turmo, 13th and 14th. I don't know if you have those points for 3rd and 4th in the championship on hand, Pete, but it would be interesting to find out how those standings going. But some good racing up and down the field. But Stancliffe looking like he's going to take a nice little three-peat here at the Circuit Chris Amon.
Yeah, I don't exactly have the points, but I do believe that the margin is somewhere around 60. So there would have to be quite a significant lead from Turmo over Nether for him to have a shot at getting third, as
big dive.
Ricardo.
A big dive, and Locke is going to try and get through, but he hit the brakes, and now they're sort of just warping through each other. Like, looked like Cheese for a second was going to get all that position, but Locke in the end holds on to that position for now. Now it's a very, very big and very, very angry battle pack here for what is 6th position. So we'll stick with this for now. Burko 1.6 seconds clear of Lime Mitch, with Hans a comfortable 2nd at the moment. But this pack behind Liccardo, it is a powder keg waiting to go on.
This is a pretty insane battle here. You have some drivers who are still working their way up the grid after the incident on the first lap. And Cheese has run wide.
Oh, he's had pace, but he's just not been able to string together 3 races so far. So that's going to drop him to the back of all of that. And just wondering, Turmo's made up quite a few spots in the last couple half a lap or so, and he's up another. So Netherelmi in the back there, he's going to have to get a move on here, because Turmo might steal 3rd place here if he can just pick up a couple more spots.
Yeah, Turmo is doing as much as he can. He probably isn't worrying too much about the championship, but yeah, he'll definitely be making as many positions as he can and hoping that he does end up on top.
Had Liccardo just get overtaken there from Redmond, sends it up the inside at the hairpin. Redmond though having to go defensive because Liccardo wants that position back. Got Mishra sticking to the inside, and he's looking to follow Redmond through. But a little bit of contact on the exit there, but Liccardo holds on for now. This looks like Brian Welch had a little bit off there. And there's Darren Kemp up the inside of Mishra. He manages to pull it up and side by side, and that's Liccardo half around. He somehow didn't spin, and out of all that, Mishra's going to be the big winner. Turmo may be a big winner as well, but Mishra now back up to P6, and just a nose ahead of Redmond, who's going to try and sweep around the outside, but he doesn't do it, and Mishra, the big winner out of all that. And up to 6th, Redmond down to 7th, and Kemp also a winner, up into 8th with Turmo still there in 10th, but looking to make up a couple extra spots.
Yeah, and Mishra basically just went from the rear of this angry pack of about 8-9 cars, only passing 1 or 2 cars into corners. The rest of them he's just managed to get past by them making mistakes and running wide. He is absolutely charged through this pack, and he's now on the other side of it. Great drive from him, again.
And once again, got Kemp and Liccardo side by side. Got Turmo making, well, not making a move, but defending his position over Wayne Spencer, who wants to get a move over. No, Spencer's got a little bit of pace in that thing, so he does want to get a move on, but Turmo trying to get as many positions as possible to try and steal 3rd in the championship. A little bit of rubbing between Kemp and Liccardo. Liccardo pushing hard in this one and getting P8 back, but he's going to have to look out for Kemp sending it up the inside at turn 1. He holds on. Big dive as well from Wayne Spencer there in the back.
In the last few laps, Burko has really increased his margin over Lion Mitch, who has started to crack. He has made quite a few mistakes in the last few laps, and
Ben Pearson off at the
Burko has now had the run on Brunswick and has now caught up to the rear of him, so it might just be a little bit too late.
Got Wayne Spencer around, and that's also caught out Lachlan Locke, unfortunately. We'll just cut to a bit of a replay to see what happened there. So we're right on board Spencer, so he just very late on the race, ran in the back of Kemp a couple of corners beforehand. Very, very late at the hairpin. Made contact with Liccardo, who somehow didn't go around, but then Wayne Spence himself having a little bit of a half spin and leaving Locke and a number of other cars with nowhere to go. But Spencer still in that pack. He's got Cheese right behind him, despite his little mistake. And unfortunately, he's just made another one at the final corner, and that's going to drop him a couple more spots, and well, maybe even a couple more after that half spin. So big shame for Cheese. Not been around he'd want, but that is it. 13 laps. It's gone in a flash. I do apologise, Scott Stancliffe, who's taken 3 from 3. I didn't think we had a couple more laps there, but there's so much action going on. But what a round for Stancliffe. Brunswick, a very solid P2, but at this stage, with no penalties in just yet, not 100% official, but as it stands, Steve Burko will be the inaugural Super 2 champion, finishing ahead of Lion Mitch in this one, finishing in 3rd place. Lion Mitch finishing in 4th after that unfortunate contact with NZ Snipes there. Caelan Duncan taking home a very solid P5, which, Pete, I think that is his best finishing position of the season. If not, it's certainly one of his best runs. Mishra rounding out a very consistent night with another 6th position in the end, so well done, Orjit. And then Tim Redmond in 7th. Ricardo, the head of that big battle pack, doing a really good job there, finishing in 8th place and up 4 spots. Turmo finishing in 9th. Have to confirm where he finishes in the championship compared to Netherrealmian. Darren Kemp finishing in 10th, another one of that massive battle pack. Daniel Cox in 11th, Spencer in 12th, Netherrealmian finishing in 13th place, followed by Lachlan Locke, who was a late victim at the hairpin on that last lap there. Cheese in 15th, had the pace, couldn't quite round out a race that would sort of serve the pace that he had all night. Rhodey finishing 17th, Snipes 18th, Miles in 19th, followed by Peter Thrower, Brian Walsh, Matt Cecil, Ben Pearson, and that was all 23 runners. Well, Pete, what an action-packed way to end the season. A bit unfortunate the way things turned out in with the championship fight, but nonetheless, still fantastic racing up and down the field, which has to be said really summed up the season that we've had in Super 2.
Yeah, and that was it was pretty up and down for some drivers tonight. We had Redmond finish further back than we would usually expect to see him. We've had people like Orjit and Cecil get some results you wouldn't expect. Ricardo getting his first top 10. I do believe it was Cecil's first one, his first top 3 in a while. Yeah, there's quite a few drivers that really showed it out today, and it's really going to set up a very exciting summer series.
It's certainly going to be an intriguing series, so it will be not 100% certain when it will go ahead, but it will be there will be a minimum of 1 month break between this season and the next, just to give the drivers a bit of time to prepare for the Bathurst 500, as well as to also give myself a little bit of a break between series, and obviously to set up the all the files and everything required for the current season. But obviously we hit refresh. We got Scott Stancliffe there, who was mighty quick. Tim Redmond, that was mighty consistent. Steve Burko, obviously our champion. Line Mitch, very, very quick. And then you've got Mishra, who come on strong right at the death in the final round. And probably missing a couple others as well that do have a mighty bit of pace as well. Hans as well, another one who didn't start the season. We've got a number of drivers, Pete, who next season could really make a good case to, take this championship away from Burko.
Yeah, what a championship it is going to be next season. We have Lion Mitch, Redmond, Stancliffe, Hans, and someone else I'm probably missing, who can all stick it to Burko next season and really make this not only just a 2-horse race for the championship, but 6 people who have all shown to be multiple race winners, all in the same series, all starting from the beginning, and we can really see just how the whole lot of them will handle it in the consistency of a whole season, not just a few rounds.
And of course, it will be a slightly different calendar. There may be a couple format changes to go as well. but we are now being joined by the top three drivers in the championship, as well as our winner from tonight. We might as well jump to our winner of the night, Scott Stancliffe. You haven't done one of these interviews, I believe, before, so welcome along. And, what a night for you. We thought it was going to be difficult to get by people in the reverse grid races, but you seemed to fly through them, and particularly in that last race, you found yourself very high up after just a couple of laps. Talk us through it.
Leading into the round, I thought it was going to be rather hard, and it was going to make for an interesting battle for the championship fight as well. But I think I just had a bit of luck go my way, and then the leader in that last race spun out in front of me, and it didn't have to battle him. So I managed to get the clean sweep on a New Zealand track, so that's pretty cool. And it was good night racing. I had some good battles with the two championship protagonists, and as well as some others. So good night.
Well, it certainly would have been a good night. Three wins, and in the end, they're all fairly comfortable. Have you done any running on this track in any other sim? We know we did speak in the broadcast that you've done I believe a bit of drifting around here. But had you done any running, maybe an R Factor or a Assetto Corsa around this circuit before? Or is this the first time in a sim that you've driven the track?
Nah, this was the first time in the sim that I've driven the track, and from the get-go, when we managed the track was released, I seemed pretty quick and compared my times to a few other quick guys, and I was up on them. So I knew going into it pretty comfortably that I'd be competitive. I didn't expect 3 race wins in a row, back to back, and a pole, but I'll take it. Stoked.
Well done on a clean sweep, and I'm sure all those 2D New Zealand fans in the stands would be very, very happy with tonight's running.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for running the server and the championship, and thanks to everyone involved, and congratulations to our championship top 3.
Cheers, and hopefully we see you for the summer series. Well done.
Will do. Cheers, guys.
All right. Well, you might as well jump straight to our championship winner, Steve Burko. That final round tonight, you were made to earn it. You did well in qualifying. Race 1 was okay. Race 2 for a little while, particularly in the middle part of race 2, it did look like you were in a bit of a bind there. You're a few cars away from Lime Mitch, and looked like you had to just get the elbows out a little bit and get yourself a bit, a couple of positions higher. Do you feel that race 2, with 5 or 6 laps to go, when you started to make your way through the field, do you feel that was the moment that really set you up for this championship, or at least tonight anyway?
I would have to. Coming into it at the beginning, and I just felt that the overall performance of the car and the way I've tuned it, I just felt like it was gripping everywhere. Come race 1, it didn't actually do that. It was a little bit of oversteer moments, but managed to keep the position there. But yeah, race 2, as you said, I watched as the start of the race, Mitch went through an open door, and that door closed quickly, and I was just sitting on the outside going, okay, where do I go from here now? But just stuck to my guns, held my nerves, and ended up finding a way past a couple of very competitive guys, which I must say the driving standard of all the drivers up to now it's been spectacular. There's a lot of battles going on, and it's fair. There's no aggressive little bits and pieces here and there, but nothing that can be untoward to the drivers. They all raced amazing, and that battle with Tim Redmond I had in race 2. Tim is one hell of a fighter. He had me in the inside of every corner, and I was just like, how do I get around him? So I had to pull it off around the outside, and I finally ended up doing that, but lost the rears, and I thought my race is done here and there when I lost those rears on the last corner. But I think Tim went to evade me as well, and caused himself to go off a little bit, which I managed to put the power down and just keep it going, and I ended up where I did, so I was happy with that.
Well, yeah, you got through race 2, and you ended up picking up a very important result there. But race 3, the start. You hadn't even made it to turn 1, and you were caught up in the incident. We didn't get really any time to sort of go back to a replay to check it. From your point of view, what happened in front of you, and did you think at that point that, you're in a bit of trouble here for the championship?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I went up towards the race wall because I seen everybody's trying to push to the right side, so I went, okay, I'll go to the left. And I knew the braking markers were coming up, so I eased off the throttle a little bit. And then all of a sudden, I seen a car turned around on the straight heading towards my car, and I've just gone, oh no, not like this. And I smacked into the car, but surprisingly, I didn't get turned. I just got pushed out to the grass, which sort of, and then the doors opened up there, and I just kept going forward. So I felt like at that moment I was like, oh, it's a little bit of a struggle. But then I looked ahead and I seen Mitch hadn't really gotten away from me in that instance, and I've gone, well, perhaps Mitch was caught up in the incident as well. So we just kept going, and yeah, just kept driving the way I did.
And well, you kept driving the way you did, and eventually you got your way through the field. For a while there, it did look like Mitch was, a real shot of sort of stealing the championship away from you. But unfortunately for him, he got caught up in an incident with Snipes when he went around the hairpin. What were you thinking? Obviously, he's going a bit slowly there, and you were sort of caught in two minds whether to go to the inside or the outside. And you two had a little bit of a coming together at the penultimate corner there.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a. I think I was beside Cheese at the time, and I was running up his inside, and then I just seen what had happened out of the hairpin. Just seen one car was turned, and Mitch was slow, so I've gone, okay, well, something's happened here. I'm just going to try and gun it for the inside. Then I seen Mitch start closing up on the inside, so I was like, okay, I got to push that way. I got to get around Cheese to go that way. Ended up getting past, and yeah, there was a little bit of a touch coming into that corner. I felt a little bit hard done by on that, so I gave him a little bit of a flash, but that's racing, it happens. So I just kept racing, and sadly Mitch made a error, and it kind of cost him the position, and yeah, I just made sure I just didn't make any mistakes after that. But again, credit to Mitch, it's been one hell of a roller coaster season versing him, and I'd happily do it again.
Well, you guys have put on a very entertaining show throughout the season, contrasting styles, but it in the end has come down to a very, very close championship. And once again, congratulations on taking out the Automobilist Australia Super 2 Championship.
Thank you.
All right, well, we'll cut to our second place man in the championship. Hi, Mitch. It's been an up and down season. You've had some incredibly fantastically fast drives, and then you've backed them up with some unfortunate incidents. Tonight, though, a little bit, at least by your pace stands, you seem just a little bit off pace. Did this track just not quite suit your driving style, or was it just, just one of those nights where you just couldn't quite put it all together?
I think I was pretty good for pace, just stuffed up Collie a bit, but I definitely, race one, I had the pace, and I think pretty much the whole field. But then just couldn't get past people. Race two, I don't think I quite had the pace. And then race three, I think I would have definitely made it difficult for Burko. I think I probably would have been battling with Scott for the win there. So, yeah, I think my pace was pretty good, but I just stuffed up my quali lap.
Yeah, unfortunately tonight only that one time lap. With qualifying tonight, was it an issue where perhaps where you couldn't quite get the tyres up to temperature? It isn't a very sort of tyre heavy track where you can put a whole lot of load on the tyres. Is it just you just had a little bit less grip compared to, say, if you had a couple laps like you did in practice?
Yeah, I was kind of banking on having 2 or 3 laps to warm up the tyres and then have a really good final run. But yeah, coming into the last corner before you start your lap, my tyres were definitely not quite there, but they came to me throughout the lap, so wasn't too bad.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it didn't quite go your way in the championship, but you have had some fantastic drives throughout the season. If you're going to point to sort of one of those races, whether you won it or not, which would be your favourite race that you've had, or most memorable moment you've had throughout the season?
I guess probably I got 2 races or 2 rounds that I really liked. Albert Park early on, that was race 2 there was absolutely cracking. Just I think there was 4 of us up there just absolutely fighting it out. And then also Pukekohe, I think, where it was just mistaking quali and having to come from the back in pretty much every single race.
Yeah, certainly that Albert Park race in particular, one of the races of this, not just obviously this series, but certainly in AMSOZ. So we did have 4 cars there. Obviously yourself, Burko, Nether, and I am missing the 4th car there. But Termo, yeah. So fantastic battle. Unfortunately, I think that's the one where Nether ended up making contact with yourself at the penultimate corner. But either way, still a fantastic battle. Tonight, again, that final race there, you're looking quite good early on, but it was just one of those things where, for the most part, you've been able to avoid sort of other people's incidents throughout the season when coming through the field. But that final race there, I guess fate just was against you tonight, and you just, NZ Snipes ended up going around in front of you, and you had nowhere to go.
Yeah, I just saw him light it up almost exactly like he did in race 2, but this time he spun back across the track. And I had to try and make a decision whether I go right or left. Chose like left-ish, and it just didn't work out. Got a little bit of damage from it as well, so it wasn't great.
Yeah, certainly wasn't ideal, but you still tried to put up a bit of a fight, but in the end, not able to bring home the chocolates. We didn't see what happened towards the end of the race, unfortunately, where you did have a little bit of an off, we do here, and you dropped off the back of Burko, but still, fine season from you, and hopefully you can carry, obviously, the form you've had here in Super 2 into the remainder of the Supercar Championship.
Yeah, hopefully I'll see how we go with Rosella at the Bathurst 500.
And that will be one of the driver pairings to look out for. So, Mitch, well done on 2nd place in the standings. Congratulations.
Thank you, and thank you for running the series this year.
No worries. Well, to our final man here, 3rd place in the standings there from the very start. Started off the first half of the season, Nether, where you're quite good. You had a bit of pace, and you're quite confident in the driving style. The second half of the season, though, it has been a bit of a slog, but in the end, able to hold on to 3rd in the championship. Well done.
Thanks, Lewis. Yeah, really fortunate, I think, in my eyes, to hold on to 3rd in the championship. You called it pretty perfectly there. I had a really good, solid start to the year, probably up until Calder Park, I think, is probably where I'd done most of my hard work. And then with a lot of the quick guys that have been up the front for the better part of the second half of the season coming in, my results started to be a little bit less, but also my driving overall probably hasn't been at the standard where I would have liked it to have been at. My seat time this year has gone completely out the window. Originally, I joined in the Super 2 just because I wanted a little bit more time behind the wheel, just to get my hours up and hopefully have a good year, but it turned into more of a full-time thing, and it's been a bit of a hard slog for the second half of the year. Just sort of been having the advantage I built up over Termo sort of whittled away and slowly over the course of time, and I guess a bit thankful too that guys like Liam Spencer, who was very, very quick, pulled out partway through the year, because he had still been in the championship, he probably would have been here right now, not me.
Well, you still have to be around for the entire length of the season, or certainly a significant portion, which you were. So you are a deserving 3rd place getter. But the final round this evening, obviously, the Manfeild circuit hasn't been driven in Automobilista Australia before. Obviously, it's a fresh convert from R Factor. How did you find the track tonight? And the racing with Termo, you're both fairly, closely matched pace-wise tonight. How's the battle with him this evening?
I feel he had the edge over me. It was probably only just a matter of time before he sort of got past, and he does a fair bit more racing in AMSOZ nowadays than I do, so I think he probably came up to speed a bit quicker than I did. I was sort of just trying to keep a steady car and just keep out of harm's way, which I did for most of the night. There were a few silly mistakes in there. I knew that I just had to be like 2 or 3 positions behind most of the races behind Turmo, and I was sort of going to be able to make it home. So I wasn't too stressed about fighting him too hard. Just trying to stick close to him through most of the race. The 17th that I had in the second race did scare me a little bit because it was I made a bit of a silly mistake and had to recovery drive through most of it. But at the end, I managed to have enough points in hand to be able to stay ahead of him throughout the night. But yeah, I just feel that I was more in it tonight just to keep out of trouble than try and attack anything. It was mine basically to lose, and I just needed to minimise trying to lose as much of my points advantage as I could.
Well, you certainly did that, but that third race there was a mighty angry battle pack, which did have Turmo in the midst of it. How did you find racing with so many cars around a tight little circuit where you could take drastically different lines and come to the same sort of lap time? Was it something that was a bit awkward to race with, or was it a bit of fun?
Extremely awkward. There was a few moments late in the race where a few people got a bit too close together, and I think one of the guys got turned at the infield hairpin. That was a bit scary, having to take a very, very late evasive action. I think I saw Matt Cecil doing some lawn mowing and some airborne activities on the outside of the circuit at one point too, and I think he's actually missed a sector marker as a result because he's dropped the lap. So that'll be why he's a bit further down the order than probably what he was, even though he finished directly behind me in that race. We've actually just found out too that it doesn't look like the circuit has anything to do with recording replays either. So I think there's a few guys that wanted to go back and look at some stuff, but they haven't got anything to go off of, which is a little bit disappointing because there certainly would have been a few moments in there I think we probably want to capture. But no, it was a very, very angry middle pack. Let me just say that much. There was a bit of tagging going on and a few things that probably went on that a few drivers addressed and a few things that probably need to have a bit more of a look at. But look, overall, as I said to the guys during the night, let's try and finish on a high because the driving standards since the Bathurst round have been pretty close to exceptional.
Yeah, it certainly has been. Once again, big congratulations, third place in the championship, and certainly from my point of view, thank you for helping out with some of the admin duties and also, helping sort some other stuff around this series as well. So, congrats on third, and thanks for the help.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much for putting it on. Pleasure to help, and I'm actually looking forward to the 500 and probably for a little while putting the sim rig away and doing a bit more admin duties to help continue to make AMSOZ what it is. It's a bright future. There's a lot of young talent in here. There's a lot of quick guys, and we look forward to seeing what a lot of them can do over the next couple of months.
Yeah, speaking of the Bathurst 500, so that is something that we're looking forward to. Just having a look now on the old Facebook page. I can't actually remember what the date for that's actually set, so do forgive me.
We've got the qualifying sessions going to run on Thursday, the 22nd of October, and we've got the races actually on the Sunday during the day on Sunday, the 25th of October. And we're going to have a few sessions running over the course of the next 6 or 7 weeks or so to get guys up to speed, practice their driver swaps. If there's anyone out there that wants to partake in the 500, we encourage you to jump onto Discord and the Facebook and register your interest because we've still got some spots.
Yeah, still a few spots left, and we'd love to have 20 plus cars out there for. It's not a full Bathurst 1000. It's only half distance with 2 times fuel and tyres, but with the grid we have already, it's looking to be an absolute cracker with battles up and down the field. If you are interested, head to the Automobilist Australia Facebook page, and from there you'll find the Discord details, which inside the Discord is further information. As well as a page where you can register for the 500. So please do get in on that if you are interested. Also coming up in Automobilista Australia, we do have on the 1st of September, we have the Antara Boxer Cup from the Autopolis short layout. First time that circuit has been run as well in AMSOZ, and that'll be a very interesting night of racing, that one. And next week we also do have on the 3rd of September the supercars returning from Sydney Motorsport Park for the Sydney Super Night 200, although it'll probably just be an evening round. And then on Tuesday the 8th, we have the GT3 Sprint Series, the Antara GT3 Sprint Series from the Bahrain International Circuit. So hopefully everybody can get on board for that one. We did have a good field in GT3s for Phillip Island. Hopefully we can continue that throughout the season. Same with the Boxer Cup and also the Supercars as well. All right, Pete, it's been a fantastic season. Just before we go, I'll just ask, what has been your moment or battle of the season before we head off?
Well, I must say I've quite enjoyed the battle between Liam Mitch and Steve Burko for the title. It's definitely kept things very interesting. But for me, the highlight of the season is seeing that it's gone from, like at the start of the season, it was Burko and Liam Mitch. They were getting all the poles, they were getting all the wins, they were always finishing on the podium. And we've had all these drivers come in who have learnt their craft, got up to speed pretty quickly, and really put the fight to the pair of them, which has really made it a very interesting season. And it has been great to see that we, at the end of the season, I think it is at 11 different race winners, and more than 15 people have finished on the podium. So we have had a massive spread of drivers finish at the front of the grid. We've had a lot of people put in some very good performances, just like Orgit did tonight. Over the 3 races.
Yeah, it has been fantastic to see new drivers picking up wins for the first time, as well as podiums as well. So hopefully next season we can see more of that. But in terms of just, I wouldn't say incidents, I don't want to say that, but certainly notable battles on track. I mean, we do have one of your favourite battles with, it was headed by Darren Kemp at Surfers Paradise, I think in the second race there, holding up a number of fast runners. See tonight, I think towards the end, that battle pack there for I think P6 or 7th in the end, 6 or 7 cars all duking it out, all very close together. Fantastic to see. And then of course, was mentioned earlier, Liam Mitch, Nether, Turmo and Steve Burko at Albert Park. Again, fantastic racing. There is others that I've missed out on. It's been fantastic racing up and down the field. Sorry I haven't been able to pick up all of it. I do know what it's like, being in the midfield and, you're battling hard with someone. You might pass someone around the outside or something like that. It's not picked up. But unfortunately, a lot of the time in Super 2, there's just too much going on to pick it up. So if you just, hopefully, again, next season, we see a bit more of that racing. But until then, from myself, Lewis Wedding, and from my co-commentator this evening, Pete Savage, but also been helped out throughout the season from Will Devonish and Brendan Ross. We do thank you for tuning in. Thank all the drivers for putting on a fantastic show. And, you'll see this channel next with the Porsches, but you'll see Super 2 again in a month or two's time.